Now then everyone, so today's vlog is going to be testing out this AbsoluteBlack 40T CX Oval chainring. I've been riding it now for about 6 miles just to see if there's any difference, anything I notice that stands out. So today we're going to look at how it rides and what it's like on hills. One of the first things I've noticed about this oval is it doesn't actually feel any different to a normal round chainring. I looked at some reviews. Some reviewers said that it felt a little bit odd. Now, I didn't notice any difference at all. That's just on the flat, on tarmac, just straight pedalling. Now, I can only think that that's because maybe I'm a little bit more efficient in my pedalling stroke than what I first thought. Who knows? But we're coming up to the first hill, and this is a hill called Slack Lane, which I've done a few times before, and it does go up to about 9%, 10% in places. So we'll see how it performs up that. Here it goes. Now, as it gets up to the steepest part, my pedalling does feel fairly smooth. I'd normally be out at the seat here. Okay, so that last hill, previously on that, I have had, at some point, when it got to about 10%, I've had to stand up, usually. If I've sat down, I've gone to my last cog, which would be a 32. So first impressions are good. I sat down all the way. I was down to, I think it was on the 32 at the back. And bizarrely, the most noticeable thing is my legs don't ache off that. That normally get a bit of pump, but not on this occasion. So on that one at least, easier on the legs. So I'm going to push on a bit more. Going to go off-road shortly and see how it performs on there. So we're up on some loose grit. It's quite hard packed to this. Smooth so far. It's on one of the one of the larger rings. I'm not having to put many watts into this, I'm being honest. One thing I will talk about in between finding little hills is what it's like to actually ride this titanium frame compared to an alloy frame. The last bike was a Cannondale Topstone Sora. It had the aluminium alloy, whatever I like to call it, frame. And you'd find after, or I'd find after about 26 miles, that I'd start to get tingly palms. So I get a bit of buzz through it. I've been on rides on this now, and I've done a 54 mile on surfaces like this, off-road tarmac. Not had any problems at all. It just soaks up a lot of the vibration, and I'm using the same wheel set, same tyres, same tyre pressure, same bars and stem as I did on my last bike. So it's a pretty good comparison. And especially riding on this old railway line, you can probably hear the gravel underneath it, and it's pretty smooth. So I don't know what your thoughts are on titanium frames, but I would say to a degree believe the hype, because so far I found it to be really smooth. And I say using a direct comparison of the same wheel and tyres that I had on the last bike and bars, I'm not getting the same buzz. I have noticed with this oval chainring on the flat sections that I'm actually running about 25 kilometres an hour, and I'm using like a 13T ring, It's already one off my Chainring. At the moment, I'm impressed. I'm not seeing huge changes switching to an oval, or at least I'm not feeling the changes. I think that's probably the best explanation. I think when I get back and look at Strava, and I'll see if I've got any improvement in my times. So this next little bit, there's a little kick up just through this tunnel. See what it's like for grip up there. Just drop it down one. Nice and smooth pedal strokes. Yeah, that'll good. No loss of traction whatsoever. And this is quite loose underneath. And this surface is like old broken brick, so it's quite hard packed. And also quite loose, as you can see here. So the oval chainring, again smooth power, no loss of traction at all. And these Panaracer Gravel Kings, although they're sort of made for this surface, they haven't got a lot of tread. So the fact that it's not sliding is pretty good really. It has to be said that the power delivery on this oval is pretty smooth, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. So again, the titanium frame, well behaved. It's going from tarmac to single track to this hardcore, and it's pretty smooth. Just a little bit of vibration from this gravel, but then the surface is uneven. It's quite rutted. It does get quite muddy down here sometimes. Down this last section, and then a bit of a hill to do, which is a bit of a tester. It's a bit sandy and it's very rutted, so we'll see what the oval does on that. So one of the last hills we're going to do is a place called Newlands, and as you might be able to see, this sand, mud, ruts, it's used a lot by the farmer, hence the sand, because it does get quite churned up. And this is really going to test that oval chainring. It's throwing me out of the seat a little bit. It's a bit bumpy, but I'm not going to jinx it. But it feels easier, this. It feels like my pedal strokes are powerful. But I think the reality is my pedal stroke is more efficient. That was a lot easier than previous goes, I'm pretty sure. This next one, it's called a hump, for good reason, and it's loose. So again, another test. There's slight loss of traction at the beginning, but I am putting some power down. And again, smooth. So then, the recap. Some reviews I've read before riding the bike said that the pedalling sensation when you first installed it was a little bit odd. Somebody described it, I think, as a pulsating sensation as the cranks are rotating. I'll be absolutely honest, I didn't notice any difference whatsoever for the first couple of miles. I mean, that's predominantly flat for me and it's tarmac. Where I did notice it, any improvement was on the hills, and it's a little bit strange because
you would normally pedal up hills and you kind of get that rhythm going, you know, left right sort of thing, especially at the steeper sections. I didn't notice any of that. It seemed, as the sort of technical stuff suggests, that it is a much smoother pedaling experience. So interestingly, when I looked at my Strava results on the hills that I did expect to find that I'd done sort of personal bests on them, really, because they all felt quicker, but that wasn't the case. What they have done is they are, I think, second fastest times, a lot of them, but the watts, although they're estimated watts, I don't have a power meter on this bike, but the estimated watts from Strava suggests I was putting out the same wattage as my personal best, but my legs didn't ache at all. In fact, still don't ache now. I did about 23 miles, I've not checked it properly, but my legs feel quite fresh, to be honest. Even at the tops of the hills, where you'd normally have that little bit of a back off phase where you'd relax a little bit to let your legs recover, I didn't need any of that. So today I didn't thrash it all the way around, but I dare say if I had done, I would have seen a lot more personal bests. So thoughts on the Oval chainring: definitely worth the investment. The step down from 42 at the front to 40 made, I don't think, any difference whatsoever. It's only 2 teeth. It's, you know, let's not kid ourselves. If I'd have gone down to a 36, you know, there would have been a difference. But 42 to 40 didn't make any difference whatsoever. I think if you were riding predominantly roads to get to trails, you might want to go for a 42 or larger, just to give yourself a little bit more on that small cog when you're on the flats. But I didn't notice any sort of loss in speed, anything like that at all. So yeah, thumbs up from me. Definitely try one out. If you've not seen the previous video on installation, check that out as well. Please like and subscribe. If there's anything that you want to know about, you want to see me do, just put it in the comments section and I'll see what I can do. Hopefully the next video will be a long ride. I'm going to do hopefully a 100-kilometer ride, which is the furthest I'll have done on a bike, and I'm going to do it on the Tempest as well, just to see what I can do. So fingers crossed for the weather, and see you next time. Thank you.